He's always just.
Okay, wait. And we're live. Oh, God.
Hey, book friends. Welcome to yet another episode of Between Two Succulents. I think I'm starting to get in the groove of this. I'm starting to looking forward to actually doing this with you guys every day because I've been great talking to you guys about books. And today we've got another magic-filled bookish botanic for you. So today we're going to start off by introducing our author, as always. This Trinidadian-born Canadian author grew up in Toronto, and her brand of writing can be best described as messy Black girls and fantasy situations. In her free time, she shares helpful tips for upcoming writers and details her publishing journey through a YouTube channel that's fully dedicated to helping demystify the sometimes complicated business of being an author. Help me welcome Liselle Sambury. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Awesome. And now, so today we're going to be talking to Liselle about her YA novel, her YA series that just debuted, the first book, Blood Like Magic. And we love to show off debut novelists, as you guys know, around here. So hopefully, Liselle, we're going to start things off with a segment that we like to call All Sucks. And I'm going to introduce to you two of our VIP succulents for today. And you're going to decide which one of them makes you want to sacrifice your first love. Are you ready to choose?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go for it. So today, our first option that we have is the beautiful and the lovely blue elf succulent. This succulent that forms beautiful rosettes of blue-green leaves with a thick coating of powdery farina. The leaf tips can be pink blue burgundy with the brightest colors showing when expressed from the sun, water shortage, or cold temperature. What gives this hybrid common name happy plant is its beautiful bright yellow flowers that appear multiple times a year. So that's going to be our first pick for the day. Second, we have the sedum salsa. The sedum salsa is a mysterious and alien-looking plant that sports red-tip leaves and with a crystal-like texture. This plant grows with long stems and many round leaves. The faint lines on these leaves give the plant a mineral look. All right, Liselle, so which one of these beautiful succulents speaks to you most today?
I'm going to go with the first one. Was it Blue Ivy, or am I making that up now?
The blue elf.
Blue elf. There we go. I'm thinking
really close to being just as good.
Yeah, I like that one. It makes me think of like it's clearly healthier, but it makes me think of the Charlie Brown Christmas tree, which brings me joy. So
definitely, yeah, it's got lots of love and joy all around it, you know, so it's perfect. All right, so let's get into your book today. Now, I feel like you've given all of us a bit of love advice that's potentially better than bell hooks, but I truly love the premise of the book, which is using magic as a catalyst for this sort of blind dating or like arranged relationship. What led you to hone in on Voya's essentially rocky, intimate life?
Yeah, so I had come in with like this. I love the idea of that whole like you have to kill your first love or else sort of thing. And I really liked the idea of this being something that Voya had to deal with and had to kind of reckon with. And then I thought, okay, well, how is she going to find this first love? And it felt like it would be I don't know, for some reason, like the idea of her having to go out and search for people felt like it was going to take too long. And then for her to just go out and immediately find that person felt kind of like unrealistic. But I also like the idea of her being someone who hadn't really had time to get into that, because I know there are like teens out there who are like really focused on school or really focused on different things, and that's not really something they've like had time to turn their minds to. And I love the idea of exploring someone who like that wasn't even on their radar. Like, sure, they were kind of interested in the odd boy here or there, but like she really didn't have time for it. And so I thought of the genetic matchmaking, especially in this world where I combined sci-fi and fantasy. It was a really fun idea to me to think of this genetic matchmaking company, because to her, it's like this, oh, okay, now I know who's supposed to be my first love. She doesn't have to worry about like trying out different boys and going on bunches of dates and like figuring that out, because she knows right from the beginning who that is. So like, yeah, and I just enjoy the kind of, I love that trope of, you know, this is your like soulmate or person you're supposed to be with, and kind of reckoning with being told that information versus like experiencing that yourself, because her and the love interest Luke have a very rocky start and relationship along the whole time. And so to me, it's really fun to be able to explore that.
No, it was fun exploring that. You know, again, it kind of like I'm no stranger to like trying out different ways of dating or whatever. And you know, I'm not gonna try this one, but like, you know, I was like, this is a very dynamic way. The aspect. Another one that I really thoroughly enjoyed and that I wanted to talk a little bit about was really the geology and the sort of genealogy part of it all. It really feels like your Canadian and Trinidadian roots took a place, and not just the storytelling, but the actual world building. Could you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, so I am Trinidadian Canadian. And like Voya, I actually grew up in a really big family. There are something like 8 of us living in one house together in a blended family. And to me, I really love the idea of bringing that to the book and having this big, giant blended family, because a lot of the times I find, you know, when I read in books, it's like your immediate family. It's like the mom and the dad and the kids. And that just wasn't how I grew up. So I really appreciated like being able to delve into that. And in my family, like cooking and like food, like that was really how I connected to my culture and how I connected to being Trinidadian, and things like Carabana, which is also in the book. Were big parts of how I connected, especially, you know, being in the diaspora and not necessarily having opportunities to always, you know, fly over to Trinidad and Tobago. Like that was a big thing for me. And so I loved being able to translate that into the book. Of course, I made a much more complicated, much more messy family than my family is. My family is very, very tame in comparison. But I also think it makes for interesting dynamics to have all these different people interacting with each other. And I think there are also different ways that people in the family interact with their own culture. But yeah, and they all have this connection to their ancestors, which adds on another level, because, you know, you have the culture that you've grown up with, that Trinidadian Canadian culture, but she also has all of the history of her ancestors and what they've brought to her, and the knowledge of the lives that they've lived and the cultures that they've had as well. And so those are really interacting, which was something that I really ended up loving putting in the book, was that interaction between your ancestors and your present day descendants, and how that would go down if that was something you could do.
Yeah, definitely. Hit a couple of points I hadn't really even thought about, but yeah, now I'm thinking it's like, oh yeah, maybe. I mean, that's especially like, you know, just how the workings of lineage and how it carries on from generation to generation in just in many ways. I really, you know, I'm always thinking about that in my own family too, because similarly, food is a big deal and a big way that we do that. but absolutely amazing. So you've truly written a terrific start to this magical series, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to conjure up some really good answers for us in our next segment that we like to call the lightning round. So how this works is I am going to ask you 3 questions, and if you answer them correctly, then one of the viewers watching us on our live stream is going to win the prize of all prizes, a copy of your book, Blood Like Magic, which is officially available here at Charm City Books. Liselle, are you ready to take on the lightning round?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go for it. So, question 1. What year do you think that AI technology will be accessible and mainstream?
So this is kind of interesting for me because in some ways it's already here, but then to the level that it is in the book is like a bit of a leap forward in that their AI is really advanced. But I can see it happening in 2049. I think we've made some pretty big leaps and bounds even from like when I was a kid and like had my little Motorola tap texting phone to like smartphones that are basically computers now. Like, I don't think it's too far of a leap to think we can have really sophisticated AI by that year.
I agree. I was really wondering. I was like, does she really think that? Because I do too. Kind of like your technology is young, but it is growing up fast. Honestly. So question number 2, we're gonna go for. What would you say is the importance of, because you've done this so well in the book, I just wanted to touch for a second on what would you say is the importance of LGBTQ lives in storytelling, but beyond representation and actually having them as an integral part of the story?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to me, if you're choosing to put LGBTQ plus characters in your book, like they should be fully formed characters as you would any fully formed character. They shouldn't just be there to check off ticks or points because you should really care about that representation, because the representation that you put in a book when a teen is sitting down to read it, like that's going to represent them and that's going to reflect on their experience. And to me, I want them to have the most positive experience possible. So when I'm crafting those characters, they have their own complete arcs that have often nothing to do with their marginalization. That's another part of them that they share, and it affects their character and affects how they move through the world. But it's not the only thing about them. And to me, like, at least for me, like that's what's important to me when I'm putting those characters in my book, when I'm putting really any marginalized character in my book.
Amazing. Awesome. Love that. Love that. And then final question, number 3. Are you able to share us any tidbits about the next book in the series?
Yeah, so the sequel to Blood Like Magic, which the title has not been revealed yet, that'll happen in the future. But I'm really excited for people to read more of some characters we've been introduced to the book. There's some characters that pop up in the first book that really get dived into a lot deeper in the sequel. And I think the big thing, exciting thing about the sequel is in the first book, you've really seen primarily 2 of the Black Witch families of the 5. And in this sequel, you get to see all 5 of them and how they interact with each other and how Voya grapples with all of that.
Nice.
Oh, you heard it here first, everybody.
Awesome. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Liselle, you are a champion. Way to go. You answer all those amazing questions so easily, it feels like. So tell us who our lucky viewer winner is.
Brandon, our lucky winner today is none other than Mike Cameron. Congratulations, Mike. Thanks for watching. Go ahead, send us a message, send us an email, or visit the shop and you can pick up your copy of Liselle's great debut novel, Blood Like Magic, and prepare yourself for this very exciting sequel we just got breaking news on.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mike, for watching and for tuning in with us. Contact us and we'll definitely get you your copy of the book. Liselle, we really appreciate you taking the time, but before we let you and we all get back to the crazy rich. We wanted to ask, what's next for you? Of course, the sequel, but anything else? Any fun plans? Maybe enjoying the summer?
Yeah, I'm like past my 2 weeks after second vaccination period. So I'm going to be able to visit Toronto and visit some people I haven't seen in a while and visit bookstores and my book there. So I'm really excited about that on top of the sequel working on.
Awesome. That's really cool. Yes. Do you want to take this time to shout out any organizations or causes while we have you?
I would love to. I would love to shout out the Indian Residential Schools Survivor Society. They basically help support survivors of residential schools and their families and communities, Indigenous communities in the BC area. So if you want to check them out and learn more about residential schools and what's going on, or if you want to donate to help support them, that's who I would definitely want to shout out.
Amazing. Everyone check them out, as well as Liselle's debut magic novel, which is just as magic as she is, Blood Like Magic. It's written proof that she is well on her way to creating an amazing new fantasy series, and you can pick up the first installation right here at Charm City Books. Liselle, thank you for taking the time to chat with us today, all the way from up north, from good old up north. We appreciate it down here in the Bmore area.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. Thank you all for joining us for, again, another episode of Between Two Succulents. I'm Brandon, and we ask that you please get vaccinated, stay hydrated. Good book right here in Charm City Books. We'll see you next Tuesday for Between Two Succulents. Take care.